So hi, everyone. My name is Elaine Schwartz. I'm a digital strategy leader in HR, part of the IBM organization, as well as the co-leader of the Women at IBM Business Resource Group.
Hey everyone, excited to talk today. My name is Caitlin Taylor. I am in the corporate marketing division at IBM, specifically in the global events space, and I also co-lead the Women at IBM group with Elaine. So you might be wondering why we are invited to speak today about accelerating change within your own firm. We're not managers or executives, we don't own a P&L, and we're not part of any sort of HR mandate. But we are leaders at IBM and change agents in our own right. And we have taken a group of 10 people organizing a singular event and have transformed it into a thriving community of 1,500 IBMers and really have taken on this mission forward to make IBM the best place for women to work. We're incredibly passionate about this, and we have been on this journey for a little over 3 years, which is incredible to recount all the anecdotes as we were prepping for this session. But our talk today, we're hoping to share what we did to get started, a few practical tips in hopes that it'll inspire you to identify a place in your organization you can spearhead change and really enable you to do that. Because I think the how is really, really hard to come up with when you haven't really seen it done before. So the 3 things we're going to help or focus on today to accelerate change within your company: 1, listen for change and lead with curiosity; 2, set the focus and define a mission; and then 3, build a small but mighty community around your mission. A little bit of logistical notes today throughout our session. If we are going to post questions in the chat, feel free to pop your answers, your random thoughts in there, as well as your questions, and we're going to answer your questions at the end of this session. But we want to make this extremely engaging and an exciting opportunity to connect.
Great. Thanks, Caitlin. And make sure you do all panelists and attendees on the chat so that everyone can be along part of the discussion. So going to dive into what we mean by listen with change and lead with curiosity. So this is really all about actively listening, right? In your role today and whatever you do, whether it's a small company or a big company, you're interacting with leaders and teams and people. Really listen and think about what change can be made, and then ask questions, right? A lot of the times we as humans, we like things, we don't like things, and our initial reaction is to either be upset or annoyed or maybe see an opportunity, hopefully. But a good practice is to say, that's interesting. I don't necessarily like that. Let me approach this leader or the organization with a question. Remember, you are accountable to deliver on your goals to your organization, but they're also accountable to deliver to you. So an example of how we did this in our world, starting up this community of Women at IBM Business Resource Group, was we attended these amazing sessions quarterly. They were open, they were honest, they were beautiful, but they kind of ended when the session ended. And so a couple of us got together and we just asked why. We went to the leader and we said, hey, we so love this. Why isn't there something more digital? Or, hey, do you plan on continuing the dialogue in some other way, right? So we went to her with more of an approach to say, let's be inquisitive, let's ask questions. And it gave room for us to create a proposal. The leader was like, I actually don't know why. Let's go after it and let's figure out how we build the foundation and grow upon what we've already created here. So a question for you is, what are some hard questions you have asked or have wanted to ask your organization, your leaders, your teams? You can think of things like, is your organization sharing data externally about diversity and inclusion? You can ask your leaders about certain things that are happening. Maybe it's diversity and inclusion learning, and you're saying, well, where's the action, right? What's the plan to activate people after this learning? So take a minute, reflect on some of those questions. We'd love to hear if you have some questions in chat that you're thinking about in your own world.
Secondly, it's really important to set the focus and really define a mission of what you are taking on. So especially in the diversity inclusion space, there are so many things we need to change and so many ideas and so many places to start. But if you don't focus on a specific outcome, it can be really overwhelming and frankly, kind of impossible to achieve pretty much anything. So with this in mind, historically, when we started our journey 3 years ago, we started with this idea of space. We asked a lot of questions about the digital space, the physical space, we were really obsessed with this idea of creating space for women to connect with each other, to inspire each other, to learn from each other. It just didn't really exist in a way that was serving our needs at the company. Um, we knew the benefits of a highly engaged employee base. There's tons of research out there around companies who have an equal number of men and women on their leadership teams perform up to 41% higher than companies that don't. So we naturally had this buy-in. There was a business buy-in to where we wanted to explore and play and ask these questions and create. So we led with this mission of creating a space. And for that, it came down to a singular International Women's Day event. We had in the past really informal ones, but nothing really like big and bright and getting people together and inspirational. And we wanted to take that on. So that's what our first focus was about. And then after we were done the event, we immediately asked ourselves, okay, what's next? What are other spaces we can create? Is it digital? Is it physical? How does that manifest in our culture as a company? And so we continued to focus on that idea of space. Over time, our mission has evolved. So what was a space, like very much space-oriented vision, we started to ask ourselves, how can IBM be the best company for women to work at? In my opinion, I think a good mission means your work is never really done. There's always something to do. You're always charged and inspired to take that on. But it's really hard to find your North Star. And especially when there's so many places to start, it's kind of overwhelming. So a practical tip we wanted to share with you that I would love to hear your thoughts on are what would you want to be true in your organization? And let those answers start to inform what your mission could be and your focus be. And then start small, tackling those, and then build over time and expand your mission and let it grow.
Love it. And then lastly, it's all about building a small and mighty community around you, right? Collective intelligence and power is so just can move mountains. And so we as humans are powerful, but when we come together, it's unstoppable. Start talking about your mission openly to people, to peers, to leaders, to your team, to your friends, to your spouse, whomever. Just start talking about it. Start seeing what lights people up. What are they excited about? When you talk to people in your own firm and you see the sparkle, follow up with them. Always follow up with them and say, I love that you were so into building a space together. Let's get together more. Would you be interested in joining us on this mission, right? So it's really about expanding your network and talking about these things with others and seeing their reaction, right? And going back to actively listening to them as well. So for us, it was a lot also about co-creating with that community. We didn't want to just bring people along to achieve our mission. We wanted to bring people along to achieve our collective mission as a community. And so we did a lot of work to co-create. So at IBM, we use this basically problem-solving methodology called design thinking, which is just a really easy way to say, let's come together and structure a brainstorm to say, what do we all individually think, feel, want? Let's put it up and let's have a collective conversation about it. So not only did we get a community around us jazzed about the mission, but then we co-created with them through the 3 years to get where we are today. And I'll say, Caitlin talked about this International Women's Day event. That was our first marquee, we were working towards an event because it was the space, but then we started to expand to say, how can we expand this digitally? How can we expand this virtually? How can we continue conversation on Slack? How do we create this open environment? That first event had 300 people at it, which, IBM's massive, but we are massively distributed. And 300 IBMers coming together, not with a leadership mandate, was unbelievable. The energy, the excitement. And we were like, wow, we hit a nerve. This is real. So instead of saying, thank you, see you again, we said, oh my gosh, hi, 300 people, come along on the journey with us. And we saw the sparkle in their eyes and it just went from there. So now we're a 35 plus planning committee who we engage through, through 3 years, we created some structure. So we have agile teams and we're really working together to build the community that we all want to be a part of. So I would love for you to take a moment, think about 2 to 3 people right now in your organization that you believe would light up when you talk about, maybe it's a problem you want to solve, maybe it's a mission you already have formulated, but think about those people you could go to and just set up a virtual coffee chat and just say, hey, I want to jam on a big idea I have. because it's really important to leverage that collective power. So those are the three things. I know we ran through them really fast. I'd love to just scroll up in chat and see kind of what people are saying. So from Luann, love that you didn't just call out a problem, but also identified a solution. Totally. I think that you don't even need to come with a fully baked solution. If you lead with curiosity, you almost get there together, right? Because we've thought to ourselves, wow, there is no space. Let's ask why not. And then we almost saw the executive we came up to light up and say, oh my gosh, there isn't. We need to create that together. So it was kind of leading with curiosity is just always a best practice when you're dealing with organizations and leaders and hierarchy and bureaucracy. I find that it's just really successful in all ways. Let's see, what else have you seen, Caitlin?
I will also add to that, being at a tech company, we really focus on this thing called agile methodology and design thinking. And that's all around building solutions and not starting with your solution first. It's like, what's your problem? What are you trying to tackle? And then what can you do? What kind of attributes, features, how does this manifest? That informs your solution. So we didn't set out specifically to recreate a women's group, because we had a bunch of women's groups. There were a lot of smaller women's groups in New York alone and elsewhere in the company, but we really decided to think about how do we create space, and that gave us a lot more creativity and a lot more room to grow and expand and discover.
And there's a really amazing question here is how do you create behavioral change when an organization has segmented comfort silos of their own? So our approach was socially. So Caitlin and I actually come from two completely parts of IBM. If you look at our planning squad committee, the DNA is super different. We have people from our cognitive business, marketing business, services business, because what we did is we came together in a social way, of course, impacting the organization, but in our own way, we connected on what we believe in. And so that was so powerful for us to see the diverse nature of our group in the business units. And we're all, like any organization, we're all a little siloed. So it's just been a blessing to see the diversity of where people are coming from. Adriana has a brilliant question to solve, and I want to be along the journey when you do it. How can we work towards universal disability mindset to eliminate conscious and subconscious bias and support the value of all staff? So actually at IBM, I think a new business resource group just got stood up about this specifically. So Adriana, totally happy to chat more about this after and share some of our best practices, as well as how you can kind of create a movement about that at your organization. I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we are at time.
But you can find us on LinkedIn. We're super, super passionate about this topic. We're super passionate about bringing people together, humans, women, allies, to have hard conversations. And we've been doing it really successfully virtually as well. So feel free to reach out for tips and tricks and anything you liked or would have liked to hear more about.
Thanks everyone for this opportunity.
Thank you, Elaine and Kate, and that was awesome. And it's great to just talk about solutions. We've been talking about some of the challenges all week, so it's great to see how you're creating solutions within the firm. I'm curious, how has the BRG engagement shifted over the last 6 months through this pandemic? Have you noticed more or less engagement, or sort of what are the differences been?
I would say more and different. It's a lot of different people. They have a lot of different needs. I think people are craving connection right now, and I speaking for Elaine, but we have seen an increased engagement, especially on our digital channels. And now that we turned all of our programming virtual, anyone can join from anywhere, we've seen a lot more different kinds of people come to our events. So it's really been an incredible opportunity to build a community in such a difficult time. Yeah,
and I think we kind of thought about, listen, we're all going through fatigue of being on camera, of sitting in our workspace and whatnot. So the team has actually gotten super creative. Like a lot of the sessions we're doing now are very similar content, but a lot more like actionable skills. So we literally ran a session of how do you use a digital collaboration tool, Mural? Like in your minds, you wouldn't think that would come from the women's BRG, but we were like, hey, we need to enable everyone to be comfortable in this environment, and we create safe space. So we've kind of diversified some of our content and what we create together with the community. And we've created like very calendared, rigorous, like Monday, mindful Mondays, what to know Wednesdays, financial Fridays, and people are engaging, and it's just been really incredible to see because they're looking to Slack for connection to their employees. and we are there loud and proud and welcoming there. So it's been kind of incredible to see just the diversity, and we're getting people across the country and across the globe to our events as well. So it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. I love what you're doing. And as a fellow IBMer as well, I love the proactivity and the energy that you both have in affecting change. And I agree, it can happen from anywhere and in any space within an organization. So,
you're all leaders.
Yeah, exactly. And congratulations on everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having us. This is amazing, and excited to hopefully see you all in person one day in 2021 or 2022.
Thank you both, and it's great to see you.